and hopefully it's recording. Now I'm going to share my screen. And I think the show is on the road.
You better let Al back in again.
Al, you don't see him? He took off?
There we go. Okay,
Okay.
I'm good.
So we're now leaving Ulm and going to Danube. So this is our 6th day of biking. Monday's September the 9th. Here's the map for the trip. It doesn't give you a lot of context, but Ulm is down here. Ulm is a fairly big city, it's about 130,000. Danube is a much smaller place, probably about 20,000. And we stayed at the home of Barb, who runs an Airbnb in Ulm, actually Nye Ulm. Nye Ulm is the city on the south side of the Danube. Ulm is the older part of the city on the north side. They're actually in different regions of Germany. Nye Ulm is Bavaria, and Ulm is, I think it's Baden-Württemberg or something like that. So we've been very fortunate in our choice of accommodations, as Barbara's hospitality has been exceptional. She has treated us almost as family rather than two wet, dirty, and tired cyclists. After doing laundry for us last night, she had a lovely breakfast for us this morning and also packed a delicious lunch for each of us. She is a very kind, thoughtful young lady. And there we are with her. She was heading out to work. I'm not quite sure where she worked, but actually she's a friend on Facebook, so I still retain some contact with her. It would have been nice to spend an extra day in Ulm. Our destination today is the town of Danube, around 90 kilometers or so, but the terrain appears to be flat, actually downhill a little bit towards the Black Sea. And once again, we are in no particular hurry. The rain had stopped, our bikes were more or less cleaned up, and we loaded the bags onto our bikes in the backyard. And there we are in the backyard. This is an apartment building, so there were other people that lived in that building, of course, and they shared space in the backyard for their bicycles. And our bicycles actually look pretty good compared to some of the ones that were there, which were a bit ratty. So we headed out crossing the Danube from Nye Ulm to Ulm. Cycling into the center of town, we locked up the bikes and spent the next 2 hours in the Musterplatz Plaza, the location of the spectacular Ulminster, the largest Protestant church in Germany. Its history dates back to 850 AD, and for centuries, the Minster has dominated the city of 130,000 and the surrounding region. As we walked into Münsterplatz, it was easy to understand why. The Gothic church of honey-colored stone is massive. The church spire reaches to the heavens. It towers almost 162 meters above the ground and is the tallest church spire in the world, built between 1377 and 1891. Like, that's over 500 years. The church survived the heavy bombing of Ulm during the Second World War. Every building in the downtown area, with the exception of the cathedral, was destroyed. Even the home of Albert Einstein, who grew up, he was born in this community, but his house is gone. The interior of the church is spacious and beautiful. It would have taken more time than we had to fully appreciate the Gothic architecture and art that was evident all around us. So it's a very tall, I guess that's called the nave, quite empty, and beautiful stained glass windows and figures on the walls. And if you look up above here, maybe you can see something at the top. And I believe that's the Archangel Michael, who's considered the defender of the faith and the fighter of all kinds of evil. So it's kind of nice to have somebody watching over you like that. The decision of the moment concerned our willingness to pay €5 for the opportunity to climb to the top of the steeple. There is no elevator, so it's quite a climb. There are, however, 768 steps carved into the stone that leads straight up a narrow, steep spiral staircase. And it gets narrower and narrower the higher you go. It is a tight fit and can be a tiring, dizzying experience. It is not for vertigo sufferers, the claustrophobic, the unfit, or possibly sensible people. But there are small windows carved through the stone walls on the ascent that offer good views of the city and a chance to catch your breath. As you approach the top of the steeple, you are exposed to the wind and the weather. A final open set of stairs lead to the highest elevation platform, 141 meters, from which there are superb views of the Danube, the city of Ulm, and the surrounding countryside. Now, you're probably just dying to see those pictures, so let's look at a few of them. So this is looking to the end of the church, and there's spires there that are not nearly as high. And you can see the city below, much of it with red roofs. And here we are, I guess this would be looking south at the Danube River that flows by. And many figurines projecting from the sides. This is the kind of thing that you see like in the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, for example. I think it's the same idea. And there's another one sticking out his, looks like he's sticking out his tongue. So I think maybe those things scare off evil spirits. I'm not sure how well they work, but hopefully they work well. And there we can see the Danube River. So we're really up pretty high. And I think you're supposed to be able to see, almost see the Alps from this high point, if it's a real clear day, but which it wasn't. So after descending, we had to find, of course, a cafe for our morning coffee and pastry indulgence. Not a difficult search, as there were several in the cathedral square. And here we are, both of us at the table. An hour later, we were on our bikes, leaving Ulm and heading for Danube. Beautiful cycle path right beside the river. The terrain for today's ride of 90 kilometers was free from hills of any type, and for much of the time, we followed a gravel path right beside the river, passing a dam and the generating station along the way. And there were numerous dams and generating stations. We arrived in Danube about 7:30 p.m. My phone with its Maps.me app worked perfectly, directing us through town directly to our destination today, Pensionhaus Gertrude. So they call it a pension, so I guess it's just for older people that are on their Canada pension plan. Accommodation was, again this evening, superb. We had a large private room on the ground floor with an entrance to a relaxing backyard patio and garden area. We always look forward to a good shower at the end of the day, and our private bathroom facilities were excellent. We had found a great place to spend the night. After settling in, dinner then became a priority. Our host recommended a very nice restaurant, the Golden Hirsch, a short distance from the B&B. It was a pleasant evening for a walk down the hill and into town, where we enjoyed a meal of roast pork, schwein, and potato dumplings. We don't have a reservation for tomorrow in Ingolstadt, but we'll arrange that in the morning. The 90 kilometers that we cycled today were fairly easy, as the terrain has been relatively flat and the cycle path along the Danube continues to be superb. We have had a good morning in Ulm, and it has been a very great day. And now I'm going to pass it over to Al for the next couple of days. So I'm going to get off screen here, stop share, and now Al, you can start share.
Okay, I shall do that in just a sec. A couple of comments just quickly. Stan mentioned that we were in no particular hurry leaving Ulm. That's going to change in the next 2 days. I'm going to cover 2 days. The first one from Donaueschingen to
Donauwörth.
From Donauwörth, right. Donauwörth. And then the second one taking us into Regensburg. Another observation that I would like to make, and I think it's appropriate for the 5 weeks that Stan and I spent together, the two of us shared two very useful traits for doing this sort of thing. Number one, we're both pretty positive on our outlook on things and fairly flexible in our expectations. And we tend to go with the flow, which is a good thing because sometimes that flow is against us. Secondly, and probably most importantly, Stan and I are both pretty low maintenance individuals. We don't get fairly easily frustrated. We don't get frustrated too much at all. And inconvenience and general disruptions aren't of particular consequence. That is especially true for Stan, more so than me, as you'll find out later. Anyhow, day 7, there's a slideshow video that we're going to show you. So sit back and relax. I hope the music comes through and I hope you enjoy this. And then when that's done, we'll do day 8 to Regensburg. So on that cheerful note, as long as the technology works, we're on our way. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Go, Stan.
Okay. I think you should be good now.
Let's try it again. There we go.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Here we go. Whoops. I've got my volume off.
Okay.
I'm going to start that again here.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Is anybody getting any volume?
No.
I can't hear anything but other than your voice.
Wonder why.
Oh, there's some volume now.
There we go. I'm going to start that again, Stan, if that's okay.
Okay.
There we go. How well did that come through?
Quite nicely.
Did it? The music was okay?
Wonderful.
Oh, good, good. Okay, so that was, what was it, day 7? And from Danube, or from Ingolstadt, we're going to head up to Regensburg. And we'll just get off the screen here and go to Regensburg. This map shows you the route from Danube to Ingolstadt, and where we're heading today is from Ingolstadt up to Regensburg, and we'll go through Weltenburg, where there's a beautiful abbey, and we're going to take a boat ride actually from Weltenburg up to Kelheim. We left Ingolstadt about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, thinking that we were going to have a fairly straightforward short day. It had a few mix-ups in direction. Stan likes to use his phone app, and I tend to use the hard copy stuff. But between the two of us, we worked everything out. And if I can move people off the screen here. So it's getting in the way of my slides, Stan.
Yeah, the left hand above the pictures, the left hand.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hide everybody.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So again, the day was beautiful. The path was great. And we came into a little town of Vollberg, where we had lunch. I mentioned that both Stan and I are fairly, what's the word? Low maintenance. My lunch there was the pizza from last night, and it was good, although the beer that we had was better. And it was just an enjoyable stop, and I think these stops are something that we look forward to almost as much as the cycling along the Danube. A couple hours later, an hour or so later, we reached Weltenburg Abbey. The Danube at this point passes through a gorge, and the cycle path itself veers quite a ways away from the river because of the high cliffs and that sort of thing. The cycling in this area is really not possible. So we spent about an hour in the Abbey, just a beautiful place. It's a shame we don't have more pictures of it, but we each bought a couple of beers to take with us. The beer garden there is exceptional, and it would have been a great place to stay. I checked with Stan. I think our price was something like 73 euros or something like that. And we decided that was going to be a bit too much. It would be 43 euros a piece is what it was. So there's an aerial view. We took a hot air balloon ride, but no, we didn't. That's off, I think that's off a postcard, but it gives you an overview of the Abbey. It is a spectacular place, and it would have been nice to have stayed there. We walked down about a couple hundred meters to the boat ramp. You can see the boat ramp there, and waited 15 minutes or so with about 7 other people to get a ride through the Danube Gorge. And it was about a 45-minute ride. This was about 5:30 in the afternoon now, and we were still fairly relaxed, not thinking that we were going to have any great issues for the rest of the day. And inside of the boat, just a gorgeous ride and very relaxing. You can see what the boat looks like from that slide there. So very comfortable, and certainly a break from the cycling. Okay, so this is Klemheim up ahead of us, and it's the last picture you're going to see for a while. We got off the boat about think it was about 6:15. And it took us about, I think 15 minutes to orient ourselves and get back on the cycle path. And it was at that point, 6:15 in the evening, that Stan mentioned, we had to be in Regensburg, which was 40 kilometers away. We had to be in Regensburg by 8 o'clock because our hostel that we had reservations at was going to close down about 8 o'clock. And so we're going to have to hoof it about 20 kilometers an hour with loaded bikes. And we were on a gravel path rather than asphalt. And it was going to be a bit of a slog. Some of these things are just as if they happened yesterday, and this is one of those times. We moved pretty good, and about an hour and a half later, at close to 8 o'clock, we found ourselves on a forest path next to the river on the outskirts of Regensburg at a side entrance, as darkness was descending all around us. And Stan is peering at his now dying phone, trying to figure out where our B&B was, because we really had no clue at all. And as he's looking at his phone, this young lady rides up on a bike and asks us, do you guys need some help? Yeah, we certainly did. So she took a look at the address of the place we were looking for. We talked for a bit, and she decided that it would be better if she took us there. And I asked her, is it far? And she said no. However, she led us into town and through town for 20 minutes. And finally, at the top of a street, she said that the street we were looking for was just about 1 kilometer down the road. And we said our goodbyes, thanked her profusely, and we headed down the road, trying to find the street that this hostel was on. I don't think, Stan, we never did see any street names, did we?
I don't think so.